Okay, make a little update video, I guess you could say that. I got the headers mocked up. I've got it spaced 3/4 of an inch, using a washer to simulate the gasket to be on either side. To get everything to index, and I just used the exhaust housings off the turbos. I took the exhaust housing off. Of course, with this one, with the snail up, it had to go down. And then this one is going to be just straight up. But to get everything indexed where I want it, and make sure that when you turn the wheel, you know, they're not down so low that the tire is going to hit. There's plenty of room. There's a good almost 9.5, 10 inches before the tire, and it's setting with all the weight on the truck. I just got some stock S10 wheels with some little 205s, but it's setting with all the weight on the front of it. I'm not going to lower the front of the truck. I didn't have it lowered before. Those are stock, so everybody can see. That tire is either a 205 or a 215. Let's see, what is it? They're just rollers. They're 225s. That's a 225 75 15. That's a stock 2.2 4-cylinder spring in the front of that truck. And you can see how much room you've got right there. You can see plenty. Even with the iron heads on it, it didn't squash it down with the old motor in it. But we got them set up. I just made a Sharpie mark so I can line them up. I'm going to get some better V-bands clamps because I lost a little cup off of one of them, and these are just some cheesy ass ones that I had. So these are the CX Racing headers. These are CX Racing cast stainless adapters, and I got these that way that the wastegate's coming straight off with the flow of the exhaust instead of coming out the top. It's coming with the flow. So, but got that done. I hung the exhaust housings up there, and the little brackets that go from the frame out to the corner of your bumper for support. I had some. I've had them laying around forever. Well, I modified them, cut them, welded them, painted them, and I made 2 support rods that go down to the block. One uses one of the fuel pump area bolt holes, and the other one uses an existing hole in the side of the block. That's the driver's side one, that's the passenger side one. But yep, I just trimmed them up, welded them back together, flat disced them up a little bit so they look cruddy, and then painted them. And that's like barbecue black paint, so it ought to take any heat that comes off of it, anything. But yep, I'm waiting on these spacers. So, because my intention was I was going to use a different valve cover, I'm just going to keep these on it. They're on, they're bolted down, they're sealed. I'm just going to get the 3/4 inch spacers from Hardin Marine, put them in there with the stainless stud, 2 copper gaskets, put a little copper RTV around the ports like I always do with any set of headers, and then put the nuts on them and tighten them up. That way I'm not pulling on the threads in the head. I'm putting pressure out here, and the stud gives you better clamping force anyway. That's why the intake's studded all the way through. But we got them lined up. I've got, this is all going to get redone, this whole mess. I've got a, who is it? Now I'm lost for words. It's not Bimbro, but the other big time brake manufacturer. It makes the aftermarket brakes. I've got a new proportioning valve. It's adjustable. I've got new line to bend for all of this. New lines to go down to the calipers. And we're going to move all this in the line lock. I'm going to move it over here. And then I'm going to make another piece for the heat shield. It's right here. It's just diamond plate wrapped with that heat foil crap. But I'm going to make another piece to go underneath the master. Because you can see the headers like maybe 3.5 inches away. to shed some heat. And I'm probably going to end up taking these up and either getting them coated or I'm just going to wrap them with header wrap. Probably just end up wrapping them header wrap to keep the heat down. So, but that's why that stuff's on there. There's 2 different layers of material on the firewall to push the heat away from the truck. So, but yep, we've got that much done. So I just wanted to kind of throw a video out. I was bored. I come out here and did this with my son the other day in about 3 hours. We put the headers up, mocked them up. I cut these bumper braces up and held them up there and bolted them and cut the angles and welded it all back together. And I had flux core wire in that 180 Lincoln, so it was a mess and took a little extra to get them cleaned up with a flap disc. Anyone's welded with flux core, you know, it's like arc welding with a MIG wire. It spatters, shit goes everywhere. And it's got blue demon wire in it, and that stuff throws a lot of spatter. It welds, it penetrates, but it makes a mess. And it stinks to high heaven, but I'm going to change it over. I got a full bottle sitting there so I can put that I bought. I'll get it put on there and get the wire changed over in it. So, next thing is I'm going to get out here and clean up, and I ain't going to make a video of that. I got to get this place cleaned up. It's a mess. I cleaned the whole back part of the garage up, which is about as big as this part and half again as big. And then the center section is where the mess tins at, and then the mess behind me and the little front part of the garage. And you don't even want to see upstairs. It's a complete utter disaster up there. We lifted parts up with skid steer and poked them through the hole up there, and they're just laying out everywhere. There's doors, fenders, hoods. So, but we're getting closer. As soon as they'll get there, we'll get the turbos on, get them hung, they'll be done. I'll start getting the exhaust made, which is actually, it's just going to basically come straight back and turning out the fender. Real simple. Everything underneath is done other than I've got to put the shifter in, get it hooked up, cross members bolted in and done. Got the engine setting at the angle I want, which is a lot better than what it was when the old motor was sitting in here. Rear end is done. It's completely put together and ready to go. I just got to get some new brake pads for it and some new rotors for the 8.8, and we're going to be going. So, tax return time. Anything I need, I'll have the money to get it, and we can just start steamrolling this thing, because I'm going to drive it this year. I didn't get to drive it last summer because it was all tore apart. So, but looks like a monster sitting in that little S10. And a complete monster. So, we shall see what it does once it is running. Like I said, my goal was 1,000. It should make that probably without breaking a sweat. But it don't need any more than that. Not on the street. So, anyway, there you go. Later.